Babylon's definition of true worth is far from the inherent value that you carry. Hi, my name's Cassina and this is Dove Wings. I haven't formally introduced myself before, but a bit about me. I love reading and searching for knowledge and truth, and this channel is dedicated to sharing the truth in love, to exemplifying what it means to be human, and I guess serving one another in love. Today I wanted to talk about the world system that we're in and how this system really governs the way we live and can almost enslave us. As I've looked through what we call the system, is it the system? Is it the matrix? What is it? After much study, I've come to find that the most apt term to define this system is Babylon. It relates back to ancient times. And you might ask, what is Babylon? What does that actually mean? Well, it goes back to sort of biblical times in ancient Mesopotamia and the Akkadian kingdom. That's where the place name actually comes from. But what does it even mean? Well, we have to look at the origin. Babylon is a system born from confusion of pulling power down into man, into humankind. It is a system of hierarchy, of greed, of making ourselves more than what we are, stepping on your other to go higher. Babylon is turning off your mind and assuming the position of submission to the power in control. It is almost inescapable, but I believe there is a way to exist in freedom in the reigns of Babylon. If we look back, Babylon has its roots in the amalgamation of different people groups coming together through trade, but also through a lot of, when you look at it, through slavery. That's what's been sort of passed down to the modern Babylon we see, is our minds sometimes just switch off and we're compelled to act in the programming of someone else's vision without question, and we shut our minds off. I know I have done that myself. But what do you really want? I just have a feeling that most people would want to be free and not be seen as a number or a product or something to be marketed to, or a commodity, or just any sort of object in place of being a human, in place of just being. Humanity is sacred. And it's something that I honor in its essence, just because there's so many complexities in our day-to-day and just as we interact with each other, that it's not something that should be overlooked or even pressed down. And often when we exist in the Babylonian system, we take away our humanity. There's many things that I can give as examples. A consumerist mindset, I guess. There's lots of things that just seek to facilitate dehumanization. If we look at the different channels of how we manufacture and make products, when you're making the product, getting cheaper labor to then export it for the means of production. So in that little bit, we see exploits and exploitation. And even though these things we can't escape, it's the fact that they are taking advantage of what is already there and always squeezing the life out of things instead of nurturing and making it fruitful again. I believe this leads to our dissatisfaction, our discontentment. Sometimes, I live in the UK and I see just general people sometimes going about their day, and we're so switched off and we find it hard to focus. When we come home from work, we're tired, we can't let anything else get in our brain, so then we scroll for eternity, it seems, and then go to bed, and we're not even rested, and then we repeat the same cycle: eat, sleep, go to work, bed, occasional socializing, but sometimes that's to just forget the routine of what you normally do. I just feel like there's this rising discontentment, which is a sign that we live in Babylon, modern day, spiritual Babylon, you could say. It comes down to the fact that one aspect is that money, you've heard the saying, money makes the world go round. I would love to say that love makes the world go round, but when we look at the reality, that is not the case. We desire, so we take, and we keep taking more, and we see money as the savior and what will get us out. If I had $1 million, if I had £1 million, I would build a house. I would make sure my families are well kept for. I would make the world a better place if I only had £1 million. But would you really? Sometimes we put our lives on hold with these grandiose actualizations of what money could do. When I actually look at money, what is it? As it is now, it's arbitrary pieces of paper or coin, or even now, I guess in the digital space, we don't even need that we give value. And in of itself, it doesn't have value. And when I think this is what we're putting as the ballpark for value, for what would save us, and it doesn't even mean anything. That's why there's a Bible verse that comes to mind which says that the love of money leads to evil, and it can corrupt, because in of itself it is not the source. I think our mind, or my mind, has shifted on this, and I've had to change it in what I think money can do for me. It is more of a tool than a god. Babylon's definition of true worth is far from the inherent value that you carry. I just want to talk about also how, I guess, we've sort of manufactured this sense of why we all love money so much, why we can't live without it, why we hold on to it. And it's because we've been conditioned to be like this, to have a tight fist instead of open hands and open palms. What I will say is that in a world where there's powers, and there's the CEO, there's the government, there's the board, there's the world organizations, and they're pulling the strings from when you're young, you're not even cognizant that there is this manipulation going on. I'm reminded of a dream that I had where there was a beautiful woman, but I could see that she was into the dark arts. I could see that she wanted to intimidate me and get inside my head to control me, switch off my mind. She was trying to, at first innocently, goad me into her room. And it was like the scene in Pinocchio. When I opened that door, I saw many people being like factory workers. Their minds were switched off, but they were doing the task. How does that make sense? Their minds were away, and I knew that intuitively. And I started to fight. I started to fight to resist, but I wasn't strong enough. At the end, with her wand and her wizarding ways, she zapped me. I know that my consciousness had gone, and that was the end of the dream. That just serves as an exemplified warning that it's so easy to be controlled, to be sold for. The great thing is we wake up. We can always wake up. You know, one of the ways that Babylon is described in the Bible is as a great prostitute, and often a great prostitute and a great city. When the Bible talks about a city or land, it's feminine, and there's a reason for that. It's because it is what you can impregnate in. It has a feature of what is feminine. When the Bible talks about Babylon being the great prostitute and the one who solicits information, who uses magic, who sacrifices to idols, who just wants more and more and more, and is driven by greed. This is the power behind our discontentment at work, our discontentment getting to our purpose and our calling in life, which is to be free to serve, love others, and therefore love the Lord and know where we were made from. It is not all doom and gloom. Thankfully, we have a call to come out of Babylon, to leave her practices, to put that behind, to not entertain those same things that she so loved, that we deep down hate, but it governs us anyways. But it doesn't have to be that way. I've been looking for this answer for a long time, studying and trying to understand what this means for me. But there is a promise. When I look at the person of Jesus, he provides a way to exist in Babylon and yet remain free. That way goes back to creating, to not putting men or women as gods, but humanizing them, walking in the path of light. That will keep your feet on the solid ground, and the way is through.